When we captured a Russian soldier, it was just a war. But when a female sniper fell into our hands, everything was different. It's not customary to talk about it, and I've been silent about it for more than half a century. But today I'm going to tell you what we actually did with them.
In the fall of 1942, Pallas's 6th Army got bogged down in unprecedented urban combat. Stalingrad turned into pure hell, where the front line wasn't in trenches, but on the stairwells of ruined buildings. In these freezing ruins, the Wehrmacht army faced an invisible enemy. Soviet snipers dealt irreplaceable daily losses to the Wehrmacht officers.
By November, Stalingrad was frozen through.
My platoon was melting away before my eyes.
Every attempt to cross the street could be the last. There was a thud, and another of our soldiers fell face first into the snow. We were often separated from the Russians by just one street, sometimes 100 meters, sometimes no more than 25. We could hear them talking and coughing behind the wall. Our Luftwaffe and heavy batteries couldn't help us at all. Any artillery strike or bombing run could hit us instead. We were locked in this maze, one-on-one with the infantry. And with them, the ruined city was a perfect place for snipers. Every attic, every basement, every crack in the broken brick, all of this became their camouflaged firing spots. Death could come from anywhere, and we never saw the flash. We died without ever knowing who pulled the trigger.
Riding the high of the Stalingrad victory, the Soviet command overestimated their strength and underestimated the enemy. They planned offensive operations Star and Gallop aimed at liberating Kharkov, Belgorod, and Donbass. On February 16, 1943, after fierce battles, Soviet troops took Kharkov. But that was just the beginning. Because of the rapid 300-kilometer dash forward, Soviet units were severely cut off from their supply bases. Tanks and artillery were left without enough fuel and ammo, and the divisions themselves were seriously understaffed. By March 12, bloody street fighting began in Kharkov.
We thought we had seen the worst in Stalingrad. We rolled westward, leaving thousands of graves behind. There was no fear in our faces. There was only icy, concentrated hatred. When we received the order to strike near Kharkov, we were ready to tear the Russians with our teeth. And that day, we found her, young Russian sniper in that house. The Russians didn't expect us to recover so fast. In March 1943, the 2nd SS Panzer Corps under Paul Hauser launched a crushing counterattack at the junction of the Soviet divisions. Elite motorized divisions Das Reich, Totenkopf, and Leibstandarte, armed with new Tiger tanks, entered the battle. Instead of frontal assaults, we used encirclement tactics. SS Panzer divisions bypassed Kharkov to cut the city off from Soviet reinforcements. By March 16, we retook Kharkov, dealing the enemy a heavy defeat and getting our revenge for Stalingrad. We stormed a multi-story department store. We were already on our 5th or 6th attack, but the Russians stubbornly refused to give it up. They methodically shot our officers and non-commissioned officers. Then we pulled up heavy tanks and hit them with direct fire. The building shook, and we burst onto the top floor. One shooter was left lying under the rubble after the explosion. It was a young girl. Her rifle was brand new, without a single notch. But we didn't give a damn.
According to some reports, more than 2,000 Soviet female snipers fought on the Eastern Front. However, how SS soldiers actually treated them when captured remains a blood-chilling topic that historians prefer to keep quiet about. They were skilled but immensely cruel soldiers who, after the humiliation in Stalingrad, craved only one thing: revenge.
In those city blocks, Russian snipers were not sitting alone in ambushes. They acted like a real fire platoon of enhanced efficiency. They went into battle right along with the infantry, and due to their optics, they killed us much more often and more accurately. We suffered terrible losses. We literally went wild from this invisible fire. We knew who she was right away. My comrades didn't ask her any questions. They just beat her with the butt of her own sniper rifle. A subtle crunched sound came from her fingers. Someone threw boiling water in her face. In just an hour, we turned this blooming girl into a hunted animal, and her eyes became completely empty. We were going to take her to the rear to continue. But the next moment, everything didn't go according to plan. She was supposed to die, but fate had other plans. When we led our prisoner through the ruined streets of Kharkov, a stray Soviet heavy mortar shell exploded nearby. The blast killed my comrades and wounded me. This gave that Russian girl her one and only chance to escape. Before the Eastern Front, in Greece, in the South, everywhere we stood, everything was different. There were girls smiling at us. There we felt that we had come as a force. But here we were not greeted with smiles. The girls shot us in the face with sniper rifles. It infuriated us the most. Because it's one thing to be a soldier, and it's quite another thing to have a woman who looks at you through a scope and wants you dead. We were thrown against this Russian rabble. They lived in mud, among clay and straw. By all rights, they lost the war back in the 41st. But these wild animals simply did not know how to fight honestly and admit defeat. They fought fanatically, regardless of losses. I lost my best friends, Marcus and Georgi, in Stalingrad. They were killed by vile fanatics with rusty rifles. My fists were clenched with anger and a thirst for revenge. So when that sniper girl fell into our hands, we didn't see her as a human being. And if I were in that basement again today, I'd probably do the same thing. I absolutely don't care if you judge me now or not. You're sitting in warm armchairs, you haven't been there. And you'll never understand me. For us, this fragile, intelligent girl wasn't just an enemy. She was a symbol of the invisible terror that methodically wiped out my comrades on the streets of Stalingrad and Kharkov.
Statistically, over 1,000 women fought among Soviet snipers in 1943 alone, and many of them, facing the monstrous reality of captivity, shared the fate of this Russian girl.